This was Nelson telling Jenny that he would be faithful. This left room for only one more charm. We do know that Nelson and Jeanette were expecting their baby in October, and I think it's safe to project that this final charm would have represented their expected parenthood. Perhaps the charm was completed, but Nelson, in deference to their sadness, did not add it to the bracelet. We do know Nelson told Jenny that they had experienced parenthood and were parents. While Jenny was in the hospital following the premature birth of Daniel, it was Nelson, along with his bodyguard, who transported the baby's coffin to its final resting place somewhere along the coast between Ventura and Santa Barbara. I often wondered what an ordeal it must have been for him to take Jenny to that place where their baby is buried. The empty place on this bracelet should have been filled, but alas, hangs vacant forever. In the film Sweethearts, Jeanette can be seen wearing this bracelet. When she sings the lovely Victor Herbert song Badinage, it is briefly visible. In another sequence, when Nelson dashes in late for their radio show, and Jeanette catches him, brushes his hair in place, straightens his tie, tucks his handkerchief into his breast pocket, it is visible as it dangles on her wrist. Again, the very fact that Jeanette kept this lovely but clever bracelet the rest of her life is an indication of what it meant to her. For her, it represented not only great happiness, but dreadful sadness too, that the last charm never had the opportunity to be added, even though she continued to try and give Nelson the child they both longed for. When I was notified that the post office was holding a box for me, I immediately went to pick it up. I said a prayer as I opened it that the photo was really Nelson. My prayer was answered. This piece of memorabilia is my most treasured possession because it is the absolute, tangible proof of the love between Nelson and Jeanette. So far, this bracelet is the only piece of unique and valuable jewelry given by Nelson to Jeanette that may be in existence. But that does not mean that somewhere else there's another piece that may exist. I cherish this bracelet for its sentimental value, which is far beyond mere dollars. For me, it will always remain an expression of their personal love for each other. The reason for me keeping this item hidden these past few years was that I personally considered it too valuable to share with others. Now, with what seems to be a rebirth of interest in Jeanette and Nelson, I felt it was the time to share this wonderful piece with others who also accept their lifelong love of one another, and we do so today. I did arrange to have the bracelet professionally photographed so as to capture it exactly as it was in its original condition, but with Elsie's charm, with a picture of her husband removed. I also prepared and wrote the complete provenance of this extraordinary and lovely piece of jewelry that I consider priceless. I hope you, who are in attendance at this meeting of the MacEddy Club, have the same reverent feeling I have for this bracelet and what it stands for. Here is one piece of the tangible proof of this beautiful love story that we can actually see with our own eyes and is a testament to their love that did exist between these two remarkable individuals. They hated to hide their love from people who cared about them, but in their day, it was their only recourse. The bracelet will now be on display for you to see, but will be carefully protected from being touched for obvious reasons due to its fragility. We offer you this opportunity to see the actual, tangible proof of Nelson and Jeanette's lifelong love affair. Those of you who did believe in their love for each other now have the absolute proof of their love. This bracelet was just one of the many personal expressions of his love for Jeanette, and no doubt the reason she treasured it and did not dispose of it, as she did with her extensive jewelry collection. This very delicate bracelet matches her own fragile beauty. I hope you take much enjoyment and are thrilled to finally see proof that Nelson and Jeanette were truly lifelong lovers. And so we close with a touching quote from Nelson's singing partner for his club performances, Gail Sherwood. When she was questioned by reporters about Nelson and Jeanette, she said, quote, Nelson was never the same after the death of Jeanette, and I doubt he ever will be, quote unquote. Gail, who acted as a go-between for Jenny and Nels when he was working, was well aware of the lifelong relationship and respected it. When Nelson was on the move for his club dates, Jenny would call Gail, and Gail would deliver her message to Nelson. Both Jenny and Nels trusted Gail, and she has kept that trust. As members of the MacEddy Club, it is my belief that when we join this club that we should never forget what I see as its fundamental mission. I believe that it is our obligation, as well as our duty, to try and protect and honor the reputations of both Nelson and Jeanette, including their incredible and magnificent love for one another. Few people have ever attained such a relationship, especially under the hardships they encountered. Take pride in the fact that their love was real, and be proud of it. I remain firm that those who would disclaim their relationship don't do so with malice in their heart, and they must be ignored. To be lured into a verbal contest with those who ridicule the relationship is unproductive. Nelson and Jeanette are worth our dedication and loyalty. Both were human beings, but let us enjoy the great beauty of their love and set aside those human frailties that we all encounter. Nelson taught his Jenny that their Divine Father sent them here to overcome their problems and not just to be happy. Jenny has always told Blossom that, quote, "I will probably pass before him, but if I do, he will not live long without me." Her dying words that she loved him were heartbreaking when Nelson finally heard them. The publicity that she spoke her final words of love to Jean was false, but Jean played out his protection role to the end, knowing that Jan's words were the only man she loved, her Nelson. My personal observation was that Nelson made no effort to live after his stroke and only wanted to be with the woman he loved, and willed himself to join her. Both Nelson and Jeanette were sure that their Divine Father, God, had brought them together. They were extraordinary human beings, spiritually, and shared their love of God with each other. They both firmly believed that when their time ended in this life, their Divine Father would then allow them to be together throughout eternity.